What up, Titan Gang Squad? This is your boy Mikey J throwing a fresh scoop of potatoes at you as always. Like I said, I've got tons of stuff like this. You have no idea. These guys didn't think I knew anything. I had to start safeguarding myself. That's the only reason why I started doing that. They were showing up at my house without warrants. They were rummaging through my car. I'm missing my knife from when my father gave it to me from when I was 15. It's a copy of his smaller one. Like, between my neighbors and the police, who took my knife? Because there's no order for going into my vehicle after the tow yard and all that stuff. Where are my plates that were missing from the trunk between the tow that you guys saw online and M&R to this point trying to get this stuff? Because I actually got the rest of my stuff out of my car and my plates weren't in there. And I'm telling you, it spooked me. That's wrong. Who took my plates that I was supposed to transfer from my Toyota, which was insured from way back when, and then I transferred it over to the Honda, and then I had to pay $2,700, and then you got this. It's 2026. Where is my foil? Why are you guys hiding? Like, this is ridiculous. I paid for it, cash money. Where is the correct foil? I got 3 foils and 1 dash cam, just Ashley Raymond's. That's it, nothing else. They compiled it so much, they made it look like there was a bunch on there, but there ain't nothing there. More, you're sneaky, and I can't believe that you're still doing this for them off the books as an independent. You're the one who started all this. Don't think just because you're retired that I can't do what I need to do to get things done from what you guys did back in 2023. Remember, you guys taught me how to defend myself now. I'm a lot more educated than I was before, and I'm not going to play into these games anymore. That's why I'm more civil. Before, I didn't know what was going on. You guys were freaking me out. I had my neighbors messing with me, and you guys would say, oh, your landlord called us over here, when it was just you sending people over. You guys are very sneaky. And now, Caputi again. This is almost a month after my car got towed. Enjoy.
R&M Towing.
That was just so people knew what I was related to.
Yeah, you guys towed my vehicle over to R&M Towing, and they won't let me get my personal effects out of the vehicle. So I need you guys to escort me over there so I can get my stuff.
Okay, I see the caller ID says it's Mr. King.
Yeah, that's them.
Okay, I talked to you the other day. You got your tow release with you?
I believe so, yes. Like I said, I'm not going to be able to get the car out because you guys stopped me from that by saying that he was going to press charges against me if I contacted him again, which is completely ridiculous. So that part's on you, and that'll be resolved in court.
Well, if you have your vehicle released with you, I'll have the officers meet you down the street, and then we'll work through it here, okay?
Yep, because I had the money to get my car out of hock that day when they called me, and he didn't tell me the price, and then you guys decided to leave a voicemail threatening me on my phone that if I was to contact them, that I would be arrested and press charges, which is completely ridiculous.
All right, 1 second. I'll transfer to dispatch, and
and as for that wenching fee, that's nonsense. You guys had my keys in your hands last. You chose to give me all the keys. You could have gave him the key. Now, who's lying, him or you? Because he said I refused to give up my key, which is a lie. I said I didn't want to get towed. You guys towed it. I said nothing about a key, and you're on camera doing that. Taking the key out of my ignition, having it in your hands last, and then throwing it on my driver's seat, or whatever you guys did after that. Because if I remember correctly, I wasn't even allowed to go near my car, and Officer Tabor assaulted me during that by pushing me.
Okay, well, I wasn't there, so I'm sorry all this,
Everybody's sorry. Sorries don't get me nowhere. Sorries don't stop the fact that you guys took away a lot of my rights throughout this whole process.
Do you know that between going downtown to try to get stuff that I needed, because when I was in Tonawanda, they were telling me I had to go downtown for court and stuff like that to get things for them. That's how much they were lying to me, sending me all the way to Buffalo from town to Tonawanda to do stuff. Then when they finally got everything done, the judge decided whatever it was. I was riding my bike from Buffalo in winter to go all the way to city of Tonawanda to finish my cases in the dead of winter. That's 15 miles round trip. I froze my tail off each way. I find it funny. When I was in Tonawanda, all my cases were in Buffalo. When I was in Buffalo, all my cases were in city of Tonawanda. So moving on.
For 3 months.
All I can do is transfer to dispatch, and they can send some officers over to make you.
They don't open till 9, but I want to get that settled now because I got to do this by my car and a wagon, or by my bicycle and a wagon, which is ridiculous.
Okay, you want to call when you're over there around 9 then?
No, I want to get it sorted out now so that everybody knows what's going on.
Will you
I don't have time, man. I've done 130 plus miles on my bicycle in the last few days, and then I got to go downtown right after, dude. I don't have time for games anymore.
Well, we can meet you there at 9. You have to call back at 9.
All right, then.
Okay.
Bye.
So this was a phone call before the long video with Caputi that I just posted before this on the long style format. This was a phone call on 10/19/2023, just a few days before Caputi. So you can see why I was so mad with him, because you heard it on here. And going through my stuff, I was given the price. It's just, it was way, way after. I can't believe that I actually have it from R&M Towing. I have minutes and minutes and hours of data like this from them. They don't understand that I had to protect myself as much as possible. While everybody was telling me it was me, it was them. They didn't let me get my car from the 9 to 9:12. That means from Friday. Saturday is when I called R&M Towing. Sunday, nothing I could do. Monday, R&M Towing calls me back. He's very combative. He's telling me there's a wenching fee. They had the keys in my hand. I remember them saying, "No, you got 8 seconds." Pulled the key out of my ignition. I think McDonald had it in his hand, and then later someone threw it on my driver's seat, because I ripped my passenger seat out for more room for all my boxes, as they made fun of my Hot Wheels toys collection that I was trying to do for streaming and stuff. But what I'm getting at is that finally, when I called him around 9 to go and pick up the car because I had a tow release, I couldn't afford it at this point. They made me broke. I just gave my lawyer $1,000. I just paid off my tickets for the DU, or I tried to pay off some of my tickets for the DUI. I couldn't get the right number from the clerk. First it was $750, then it was $725. In the end, I ended up paying in Buffalo almost a year and a half later through my PO, $710. What ticket is ever $710 for a DUI? That doesn't make even any sense. Like $710, you could see why I was so frustrated. They just kept changing it, and even when they sent it to the clerks, they couldn't even remember their own lies. But they charged me for obstruction. You know, I've got tons of stuff like this. I was telling the truth the entire time. You know, I can't believe that. I paid everything months in advance so I can get ahead, and then all this stuff happened. And I lost that 3 months, and then I went further into debt. Well, this guy and these people were telling me, you can't get your car, which is unlawful, until the price was jacked up to $780 just after this phone call when I called them at 9 and told him I was going to go get it. He wouldn't even let me get my stuff back at R&M Towing. I had to lie to him and tell him I was going to come pick up the car. I was flat broke at that time. I had the $400 that it could have probably cost, because I read the transcripts of what Town of Tonawanda and those guys are allowed to charge per day. The wenching fee is whatever he charged. Usually they're around $80 to $100, but he never told me what it was. It's $40 a day. 40, 80, 120, wenching fee. Let's just say it's even 180. That's $300. I had over that on me. Right after the weekend, they told me and made me walked across the street because they told me to get out of here. But here's the one thing you don't know. You know, I had a passenger with me there. They never talk about Tony, who was in the car with me, because they made him get out and walk while Tabor and them were distracting me. I turned around and he was gone. So you could imagine how frustrated I was. At the very least, he could have helped me carry the rest of my stuff in there. I lost my pool sticks and all that stuff, because I couldn't put it all in the wagon. I rode off on a bicycle with over 110 pounds of items from my car, and I had to leave other stuff in there, which later got crushed later got crushed for $175, and this guy dies just like a few months later after crushing my car a month. I don't really remember. It's on Facebook for R&M Towing. Like, can you believe this? I went through all of this stuff repeatedly. So, like I said, this was on 10/19/2023, and just around this time, I applied for that foil for everyone. I don't even have the foil except for just her dash cam, and on the dash, she pulls forward for no reason. The whole stop, the cruiser stayed in one spot. Once they had me out of the car after they realized I could do the ABC test, they had me on the corner. They slowly pulled the cruiser because the cruiser was looking at the corner. They slowly pulled it up, and then you couldn't see me and Officer Ashley anymore. I'm telling you guys, it's not right. And I can't believe that you have to choose a settlement because putting an officer away is extremely hard. You know what that makes me feel like? I got to accept money when you made my life 3 years of just, it was atrocious, man. They broke me down completely. They did exactly what they wanted. They just didn't expect me to get off probation with no violations ever. I had another car, not pulled over once throughout the entire year and almost 3 quarters before my early release. So, come on. I didn't change anything. I was still working. I was just in Buffalo now, doing the same things I always do. Never pulled over once. I'm not even on one report in Buffalo, and I didn't change nothing. Went to work, came back, drove around. My car got into a little scuff over the winter, so I had to keep repairing it and stuff. Still, no officers bugged me. Used to go down the Foot Ferry, yada yada. I mean, it speaks for itself. Look at how they're being, and you guys wonder why I'm swearing and cussing at them because they don't think they have to obey what they're sworn to protect. It's the most ridiculous precinct I've ever dealt with in my life, but I've started to notice they're all like that, and even the receptionist. If I call you for help, why is your receptionist rude to me? Why do they act like they're the supervisors of their selves, and then when you ask for their supervisor, they get all mad and they go, "Who do you think you are?" Like, it's my right to ask for your supervisor if you're treating me like crap while I'm trying to obtain a foil or just trying to get a date. This is how I got the obstruction charge. These receptionists are so rude. They lie, and it's like in a trap, and I fell for it. You know, your freedom of speech is taken away when they can entrap you by lying and misleading you with prices to the point where it's driving you nuts. Your lawyer can let the liaison push you in court. The same hallway where the guy beat the crap out of that dude in town of Tonawanda. An officer beat the crap out of that dude in the hallway. I got pushed in the same hallway, just feet more in front of where he was. It was almost like that guy knew where the camera was from that feed, so I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to be seen while he pushes me in front of my lawyer, Michael Samasi, who did nothing. I gave that man $1,000, and he acted so weird inside court that I took the plea because I was like, oh my God, dude. I go, my lawyer, he wouldn't even sit next to me. My lawyer was acting so weird in the courtroom. He was having me stand like way away from the podium, away from him. If I give you $1,000, you don't ever talk to me or sit next to me or discuss anything, and then you act weird like that, and then you let the liaison just push me. If I push the liaison outside of the courtroom, I'd be hauled away. How did these guys get away with everything? The liaison was trying to force me to have an appointed lawyer when I'm like, my lawyer is Michael Samasi. And when I went to go take a picture of it to prove that they were trying to force me into a public defender, all of a sudden that paper disappeared. The paper reappeared with my name and Michael Samasi on it. And that guy had an attitude with me because I told my lawyer, I'm like, hey, he just took the paper. I go, I'm just one person. It don't matter if it's an appointed lawyer mistake. Why would you replace the whole paper just to have it correct for my name? That doesn't make sense. And then get agitated when I ask you where the other paper was. Still don't know where that paper is, but the town hall, the courtroom has cameras. I can't even get my foils from my DUI. How am I going to get my foils from a courtroom that gave me obstruction in the second degree and a restraining order of a lady that I didn't know, who I asked her name on the phone, and then when she repeatedly gave me wrong times, dates, prices over a span of as long as these are, all of a sudden I'm getting a knock on my door, no warrant, dragged out of my house in my underwear and my club feet. They were trying to drag me out, and then they egregiously brought me into the cell, always yanking and pulling on my arm. And then right next to the blue slippers, they're pink slippers. They had the audacity to give me pink slippers, stick me in cell 10. The cell was filthy. It was covered in fecal matter and boogers. I took their blanket and I washed that entire cell because I was like, I'm not laying on this. This is disgusting. Even the hard block of wood had grease and grime on it, man. I mean, you could see the poop stains from someone who was mad and rubbed them on the bars. That's why I took my stuff out and threw it in the hallway, because I didn't want everything that I covered clean the poop with in there with me. It was disgusting. And you know what? They charged me with a tampering charge because I refused to pick it up. I'm like, no, it's covered in crap and boogers. I go, and they're like, what? Like they didn't know. They don't clean those cells. That cell was nasty, man. It was wrong. You could see me on the cell camera cleaning the whole thing. What do you think? I'm just going to wash the walls? No, dude, it was gross. I was bored and they were waking me up every single hour on the hour. It got to the point where just the receptionist was coming down because the officers couldn't handle that I was aggravated, that they kept messing with me, and that they stuck me in such a nasty cell. There's all those other cells, man. They don't clean those cells at all, and they do it on purpose because they want to treat you like trash while they lie and lie and lie. And because they have a badge, the people believe them until they do it to you. And that's what's rude about it. It's so messed up. I'm going to play you the other voicemail. And that's the actual call from the precinct telling me with Officer Neutrino, Michael, this Officer Neutrino, R&M said stop harassing them. And, if you contact them again, there's going to be you're just going to make it harder on yourself. That's how he explained it. That's messed up. I called on a Saturday. I had to wait past Sunday. He calls me back on a Monday, won't give me the price, hangs up on me. I call back and I'm like, you can't not give me a price to get my car out. And then I had Neutrino call me, and that's what led to these last two that I put up. And, I don't know. I haven't filed it yet. I am getting so close to the precedent of 3 years federal. Like within days. It's been almost a week since I asked for that foil that I paid way back when. And you know what? I know they're going to do it again. You know how that makes me feel? I can't even file, a civil matter in confidence because they're withholding evidence from me that they're not supposed to be holding. No one has ever called me, no chief or anything, and said, hey, it's in a court matter right now, so we can't release it to you. Nor after did they ever get a hold of me. And I have called them. It's 2026, and I'm still trying to get it. That's not how the Freedom of Information Act works. Just like he says, he doesn't have to abide by laws on these things. I'm telling you, you have no idea how far it goes in New York. You think California is bad? This is just me and I'm a nobody. Imagine if it was like a politician they didn't want around. I'm nobody, man. They did all this stuff and they're afraid because I'm looking at these reports, and on the reports there are just even in Buffalo, they lied about dates, they lied about times, and you know what? It's not that I have proof. My proof is on the car, and they're putting dates that are wrong by 7 days for my registration when it's valid at the time. They made me a criminal. I was never one. I've never had problems like this in my entire life, except for my first UI way back when they pulled this stuff on me and then had my brother, an off-duty police officer, do what he did. So this goes back a little bit farther. When I moved back to Tonawanda, I didn't think about what happened in 2015. But they seem to have thought that I was the same person way back when in my very early 20s as I was in my late to mid 20s when I was there for 3 years, no problem. I bought a car, landlords moved in with new tenants and new landlords, and my life just shattered and fell apart. Go and look up 24 Joseph Drive and see how much it is now and see how it's renovated. That man did that to me so he could spike the rent. I heard from the neighbor he hasn't been able to rent one of those apartments for more than 2 months because people keep moving. Doesn't that sound familiar? Titan Gang Squad?